We were so close to an ETH breakout and an altcoin breakout. And then Trump announced tariffs. He announced a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico, 25% on imports from Canada, and 10% on imports from China. And that sent the market into a complete panic on Friday night after the markets closed. And you can see that right now, Bitcoin is under $100,000. It's at 99,269. The altcoins, I don't even want to talk about it. It's an absolute altcoin capitulation. In fact, I agree with this comment over here, which basically says that there was a comment that someone said he hasn't seen a capitulation like this in about 7 years. You look at the altcoins, you look at the meme coins, about 90% down. This is PopCat, 90% down. And we are actually witnessing an altcoin capitulation, which is actually causing some market participants to actually ask whether this bull run is actually over. This guy says, I don't think it's a top, but if it does turn out to be a top, in hindsight, there would have been a whole lot of signs. We'll go through the signs a bit later. And I think today we've got to talk about the tariffs. We've got to talk about why they are impacting the market and how long this impact is actually going to last. Because if it's going to last long, it can actually wipe out the entire, well, make the altcoin capitulation a lot worse. We're also then going to talk about this altcoin capitulation and whether indeed it is possible that we are at the end of the cycle. And then I want to spend some time talking about RUNE, because I don't know how many of you have been watching the RUNE chart, but RUNE has absolutely capitulated. The protocol nearly failed, and we need to talk about whether RUNE is dead or whether it's not dead, and whether this is actually a good time to be buying. So if that sounds good to you, happy Sunday, guys. I'm here on a Sunday bringing you crypto love and crypto wisdom, only because I need you guys to get the alpha first. If you appreciate that, subscribe to the channel. There are now 1.15 million subscribers. Let's try and get it to 1.52 million subscribers today. Obliterate the like button. It's so cool to hang out with you guys on a Sunday. I'm here in Dubai, hanging out with you guys on a Sunday. Let's have some fun. Let's go. It's a Sunday show. It's a serious show. Lots to talk about, lots of alpha, but also let's have some fun. So let's go, guys. Call it what you want, but it's an altcoin capitulation. The market, if you're an altcoin holder and you're happy, I don't know how you're happy. Everything is getting destroyed. I must say, this is one of the worst capitulations I've ever felt like. And to make it worse is the fact that Bitcoin is actually trading at $100,000. So when you get Bitcoin trading at $100,000 and you get the altcoins going lower and lower and lower and lower, it's the worst feeling in the whole, it's the worst feeling in the whole world. And that's really what's happening now in the market. That's what's happening. I know that if you're an altcoin holder, you are getting absolutely killed. And the only way I know that is because I'm taking losses on my portfolio, which are getting really sore. We've got to discuss how long this is going to last and how to prepare for it. That's one of the things that we're going to spend a lot of time on today, right? So I'm going to bring the alpha. You're going to bring the love. You're going to bring no saltiness in the comments today. Even though I know we're all going through a hard time, no saltiness in the comments today. I'm going to bring the alpha. You're going to bring the love. You're going to bring the likes. And we're going to have an amazing show today. I've even got a friend of mine who's here to join us. You'll be surprised at how much this guy, he's 15 years old, right? 15 years old. This guy knows more about tariffs than all of us combined. And he's going to be on the show today. Going to blow absolutely blow your mind. But before we get there, let's actually go and look at what's happened on the market. So as I said, I don't know about you, but Friday, I actually thought ETH was really going to break out. We had ETH at $3,450. And I really thought this was the ETH breakout. This was finally the beginning of an ETH breakout. And altcoin season was actually going to start coming, and more money was going to be flowing into ETH. And I remember I was with Crypto and I spoke to Crypto and he opened an ETH long and I opened an ETH long. And then bang, Trump comes in. On Friday night, when the markets are closed, on Friday night, remember that, when the markets are closed, Trump announces that he's implemented a 25% tariff on imports from Canada, from Mexico, 10% on Canadian energy, and 10% additional tariff on China. Now, the reason why they did this, we'll talk about, but it was around the fentanyl crisis, right? He's talking about these countries allowing fentanyl to come into the United States, and that's why he did it. And initially, we didn't think that this was real, but then the presidential spokeswoman came out, the presidential spokesperson came out.
That and talked through some of the president's things.
I saw that report and it is false. I was just with the president in the Oval Office and I can confirm
back. I said this all happened on a Friday, right? This all happened on a Friday. Now remember that another thing actually happened on a Friday, right? And that was the launch of Trump Coin. Seems like a lot of things are happening on a Friday when the market's actually being closed. And a lot of people are now talking that maybe this is actually market manipulation. Now, this came out, and I don't think it's real, but I think we need to read it just for a second, right? It says, I was the lead market maker at Jump. I'm no longer under NDA, so I can say this. Typically, when you see market moves during the weekend like this, it is pure market manipulation. It was one of the tactics I invented during low market movements. We would load up and pay attention to crypto Twitter as a source of sentiment with specific accounts organized in specific categories. One thing I used to do was purposely nuking 4-hour candles on Bitcoin and ETH, which was an easy trap and basically made people capitulate, right? At the end of the capitulating, before we reversed, bottom shorters got comfortable here, and then they'd reverse and do this the other way. Now, I don't think that this is real. However, I do think that there is some kind of market manipulation that's actually happening. And I like this video. It says the practice is often called flashing or liquidation hunting. And this is how exchanges can use market makers to actually make money on weekends. They know that in the time where there is altcoin capitulation, they know that in times of altcoin capitulation, the liquidity is very low. And it's very easy for them to move tokens up and down and to actually get the market liquidated. And that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what may be happening right now. And someone says, why is the market beating? Says, simple answer, market manipulation by market makers. Low weekend volumes make it easier to dump charts. Market makers buy back low, while scared retail investors sells low and buys back high. Be careful that you don't get caught into this market manipulation. Be careful. It is happening. I can tell you for sure that I know that it is happening. I know for sure that this market manipulation is happening. But I don't think that that is the entire cause of what happened this weekend. Because I think the entire cause of what happened this weekend was actually around the tariffs that we got from Canada, right? So we got from Trump. And as I said, someone said, am I on mute again? Someone give me a thumbs up. Can you guys hear me? Okay, you guys are watching the beginning of the show. Someone says the sound is funny. Is the sound funny? No. Sounds good? Amazing. Sounds good? Okay, amazing. So let's talk about the tariffs. So on Friday, we almost had the ETH breakout, and then Trump announced the tariffs. The tariffs basically were announced by this document over here. It says, addressing an emergency situation, the extraordinary threat powered by illegal aliens and drugs, including deadly fentanyl, constitutes a national emergency under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Until the crisis is alleviated, President Donald Trump is implementing a 25% additional tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico and a 10% additional import from China. Energy resources from Canada will have a lower 10% tariff. President Trump is taking a bold action to hold Mexico, Canada, and China accountable for their promises of halting illegal immigration and stopping poisonous fentanyl and other drugs from flowing into our country. The orders make clear that the flow of contraband drugs like fentanyl and into the United States through illicit distribution networks has caused a national emergency, including a public health crisis. Chinese officials have failed to take the necessary actions to stem the flow of the precursor chemicals to known criminal cartels and shut down money laundering and criminal transactions. So basically, it's all around fentanyl, and they are now implementing these tariffs that are happening in the United States. And Trump has gone absolutely crazy on tariffs. He's gone like absolutely crazy on tariffs. Okay, so Trump, I'm not going to play any more videos because it looks like the videos are causing havoc for us. But Trump is on a mission around these tariffs. And now the thing that's happening is Canada has started to respond. And Canada came out and said, okay, well, if Trump's announcing tariffs on us, we're going to announce tariffs on Trump. And he's not the only one that responded. The Mexican president also responded to Trump's tariffs. And now everyone's asking, well, hold on, is China going to respond to Trump's tariffs? And so you're getting this like shit show. You're getting this like shit show that's going on. And basically, you're starting to get a trade war where the US is putting tariffs, and the other countries are responding. Now, if you want more insight into tariffs, I want to bring on a friend of mine. Now, get this. He's 15 years old, okay? 15 years old. And he knows probably more about tariffs than all of us, okay? So let me get him on. Aman, welcome, brother. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you for having me on, Ron.
Amazing. So listen, brother, you know a little bit about tariffs, right? You know, you've done a little bit of homework about tariffs. Why is the market so scared of these tariffs?
So, firstly, tariffs are generally used to make imported goods more expensive, which gives domestic producers a competitive advantage by discouraging imports, and tariffs aim to reduce trade deficits. But it obviously goes without saying that it's generally inflationary and can also lead to retaliation from other countries. Like you just mentioned, Canada's Prime Minister Trudeau came out releasing a 25% tariff on American goods, which I think is worth $115 billion. And now tariff announcements and implementations, they create volatility and uncertainty in financial markets, which the financial markets don't like uncertainty. So that just causes prices to drop. Now, crypto, it likes to front run events, like when Trump won the presidential election. For a few weeks before that, Bitcoin's price was rising. You know, we went from $53,000 all the way to $70,000, and then it was the election itself that brought us up past the previous all-time high. So now you have to wonder: is crypto front running a dump when the futures market opened later on today? And if it is, that also means that it's more likely that we put in the low in the crypto market before the stock market itself does. So I think we definitely need to watch out for that, because with tariffs being implemented, it historically has caused inflation. In this
Yeah,
case, it would cause inflation in the US.
yeah, the market's scared of inflation, and they know that if there's inflation, Powell won't be able to reduce interest rates, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly right. So guys, this is a friend of mine. His name is Aman. If you guys want to see his channel, he actually has a YouTube channel where he actually makes amazing crypto content and charting content. If you want to follow him, he's actually very cool. Like, I've been watching his journey. Just go to, there's a link below. Like, just go to the link below, and there is a link to his channel. Just go and sign up to his channel and watch the amazing videos that he actually makes. He does amazing charting videos. Aman, what kind of other videos do you do on your channel?
So I focus mainly on charting videos and TA, but I like to, in the video, summarize what's going on in the macroeconomic landscape while looking at the charts, and then explain how it's affecting what's actually happening. And then I've also started to do more podcasts on my channel. I recently had a crypto VC and digital asset manager on a podcast, and we just discussed what's going on in crypto, what's next for the crypto and stock markets in 2025.
Amazing. So guys, there's a link below. Follow Aman. Aman, thanks, buddy. If you
Thank
guys
you for having me on.
He's 15 years old, guys. 15 years old. The guy knows a lot about tariffs. He knows a lot about everything. Anyway, let's carry on. So now there is a trade war going on, and I mean, it sounds like Trump is kind of saying that this thing ain't going to end pretty soon, because he's saying the pain from tariffs will be worth the price, and that means that early indications showing a long multi-front trade war ahead, which was actually Trump's strategy when he actually came in. The thing is, I agree with Patrick Bet-David. Mexico and Canada are about to fuck around and find out. 77% of Canada's exports go to the United States. 84% of Mexico's exports go to the United States. Both of them rely on the United States, right? And he's saying quick tip to Trudeau and Sheinbaum. He's like, basically, read the art of the deal, take a cold shower, call Donald Trump and apologize, and then pray. Pump's arguing that tariffs don't cause inflation. I think in the long term, he's right. Unfortunately, in the short term, I think he's wrong, and tariffs do cause inflation. A lot of people are also saying, though, that actually, before we get there, I just want to show you some other stats here, because I think that this is quite important. So Mexico exports a lot to the US. Canada exports a lot to the US, but the US doesn't export a lot from Mexico and doesn't export a lot from Canada. So them putting tariffs on the US is basically nothing. The US is pretty much bullying them. A lot of the thinking around this is around beating Canada into submission so that Trump can actually make Canada the 51st state of the United States. Now, I don't know if it's a serious thing, but people are really starting to think that this is serious now. So maybe Trump is trying to make Canada the 51st state. Either way, the market is really scared. I think what we have to do now is you have to watch the US futures. There is a chance that when the US market opens tonight, the futures are going to get smashed because the markets are going to respond to this, right? People say, someone says, okay, the audios are not working every single time I play a video. Can you hear me now? Hardest, can you hear me? Okay, so you guys can hear me. Okay, so I can't actually play the sound. But anyway, Canada thinks that this could be around being the 51st state. So yeah, so that's the 51st state thing. Also, remember that Trump actually did bring in tariffs in the previous time that Trump came in, and that actually did take down the markets when this actually happened. So you've got to think about why this is actually happening. I think it is part of Trump's mega plan to put tariffs on other countries. But in the last Trump administration, he put up tariffs, but then he actually reduced the federal income tax from 39 to 37. So kind of like he taxed the outside money. He taxed the outside money, and when it came into the United States, he reduced the tax in the United States. He's also on this big mission to reduce government spending, and Elon's doing an amazing job. I don't know if you guys read this, but he says reducing the federal deficit from 2 trillion to 1 trillion requires an average of $4 billion a day in projected spending cut from now to September. That would still result in a 1 trillion deficit, but economic growth should be able to match that number, which means no inflation in 2026. And Elon is actually making a lot of progress, actually cutting the spending with his Doge. So I think keep watching this. You can see they're cutting like billions and billions and billions every single day. And so I think Trump's on a mission. He's going to increase tariffs, which initially are going to increase prices. But then he's going to reduce taxes and maybe even eliminate taxes completely. He said he might even eliminate taxes. And then also he's going to reduce government spending. So there's going to be pain, but I think that Trump is working with a plan. I think Trump prides himself on the moves of the US market, right? Anyway, let's talk about more important things. Let's talk about the altcoins. Let's talk about what's going on in altcoins. It's a capitulation. There is no other word to say. There's just no other word that I can use to describe this but capitulation. It is bad. If you're holding altcoins, and specifically if you're holding meme coins, it's bad. And I think that's one of the lessons of actually holding meme coins, and why I told everybody, get out of your meme coins. Remember I told you to get out of your meme coin? We still got the chart here. This is the PopCat chart. To get out. You can see it was almost the top. That's now down 90%. And there's a reason, because I felt that this correction was actually coming. But what I didn't feel like is that there would be an absolute capitulation. And that's exactly what we're getting now. This guy says, genuinely the worst altcoin capitulation I've seen in 7 years plus. BTC might even close the day green, but many crypto favorites are down 25 to 40%. What you're getting now is you're getting a decoupling. And that's the worst part of this capitulation, because you have Bitcoin at 100,000, but you have the altcoins down. And in fact, if you look at January, there's a stat here which I saw, which said something like, hold on, let's see if we can get down. Bitcoin was up 7.54% in January, but the median altcoin on Binance is down 25%. And that's the problem. The problem is that you've got Bitcoin up and you've got the altcoins down, and that's causing max pain in the altcoins. And that max pain is causing the retail investors to get shaken out. You can see that here, retail is completely flushed out of Bitcoin, and the institutions are the ones buying Bitcoin. And then if you look at it here, pretty much it shows you that the retail investors are panic selling and the large investors are actually buying. And so this is a situation where you're getting retail absolutely capitulating and selling out. Now, the reason why I say retail and not altcoins is because who's buying the altcoins? The retail investors. Who's buying Bitcoin? The institutional investors. And so this is designed to destroy the retail investor. And that's pretty much what's happening, as I said to you. The thing is, don't panic just yet. And I'll tell you why don't panic just yet. Because here are some tweets from 2021. January 2021. And people saying, no alt season this time. Dump the garbage. There is no alt season. Dead cat bounce for altcoins going to die, and there'll be no alt season. It seems that there'll be no alt season this year, only Bitcoin season. Bitcoin has doubled in price while the alt season. These are all posts from 2021. And so I know that sometimes we forget. But this is 2021, and it sounded and it felt exactly the same. So I know a lot of you weren't here in 2021. I can tell you that this is exactly what it felt like and what it looked like in 2021. And if we look at seasonality on our side, you can see that this is the chart on which Bitcoin usually bounces, and it usually bounces up in January. So could it be the end of the cycle? It could be. We'll talk about that tomorrow or Tuesday. We'll do a show about whether or not this is the end of the cycle. And it's possible that it could be. But I don't think it is. I think there may be some more there might be some more 𝗕𝗲𝗡 in the alt season. And I think it's actually going to start happening. And because of that, because I think that, I do think that this is the capitulation. This is like the final capitulation before the move up. And I don't know how long it's going to last. It could last a week. It could last a month. We could get one other leg down before everything starts moving. But this is really max pain for altcoin holders. And the reason why it's max pain for altcoin holders is because most people are holding actual Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is actually going up. Altcoins and Bitcoin is the one going up, while the retail investors are the ones holding the altcoins, and that's actually going down. And that's pretty much what's going on here. So that's what I think. I think we are in the midst of a capitulation. If you're feeling it, you're not alone. Everybody's feeling it. I know people that have basically fallen out of altcoins, got destroyed, got liquidated, got mentally destroyed out of these altcoins. Never want to be back in crypto ever again. But I mean, there's also hope here, right? Like, we did see an ETH breakout on Friday, and if it wasn't for the tariffs, maybe this would have been the ETH breakout that would have brought on the alt season, right? Also, in the charts, if you look at the charts, there's the head and shoulders on ETH that actually could actually play, the inverse head and shoulders on ETH, which could actually play out. Also, as 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝐺 says, this is where the rally occurred from in the last cycle. So we got to this level, and this is where the rally occurred from the last cycle when you look at the Bitcoin versus ETH ratio. So lots of good things around ETH. Also, lots of inflows into ETH for a change. So all of a sudden, ETH starting to get a bid. And also, you're getting. I'm monitoring the ETF inflows. So I'm monitoring them relative to total market cap. Right now, Bitcoin's got a 0.1% since the 20th of January, and ETH's got a 0.02. So ETH's lagging on an ETF inflows. But when this ratio actually changes, that's when we're actually going to strike and say that we do have an ETH altcoin season actually happening. All right, so that's ETH altcoins. I want to talk a little bit about this. RUNE has been one of the tokens that I have had a big position in. And as you know, it looks like RUNE has also had a capitulation event. Just have a look at that. So $1.39. This is a crazy thing. So this is what I said was the RUNE capitulation event. I tweeted about this on Friday, and I said, or was it yesterday or Friday? I said, this is the capitulation. Yesterday, I said, this is a capitulation event. Either they made a plan and the protocol continues to run, or they accept its fate. Now, let me quickly just walk you through what actually happened with RUNE. So RUNE is a cross-chain swaps protocol. It's one of the best cross-chain swaps protocol. The only thing is that the genius team in RUNE decided to put a lending and borrowing app in the protocol. The problem with the lending and borrowing app is that the lending and borrowing app actually creates liquidation risks and mismatch risks like a bank. And so that little addition to the protocol caused the protocol to actually become insolvent, believe it or not. And so now they got $200 million in debt. And what happened was, I was counting on the fact that they would restructure the debt, and that that while they restructure the debt, the protocol would actually continue farming blocks. The validators would actually continue in the network. And that's why I was so confident that someone says no sound. Hardest, is there sound? Can you just give me a thumbs up if there's sound? Yeah, there's sound. Okay. So I was counting on the fact that they would restructure the protocol, eliminate the debt, make the debt holders whole somehow, and we'll talk about that in a second. But at the same time, that the protocol would continue to produce blocks and continue to do cross-chain swaps. And that is why I was so confident that we would actually get a RUNE recovery. But then on Saturday, the validators actually started to pull out of the network. And about 30% of the validators started to pull out of the network because the price went so low that it wasn't actually viable for them to actually continue to mine blocks on the network. And that was, for me, a very scary sign. I said that's when the risk return actually changed, because if the protocol stops producing blocks, if the protocol stops doing cross-chain swaps, then you're in a position where all the wallets that are integrated into it and that use it to do cross-chain swaps will actually stop using it because they think it's too risky. And so that was when the risk reward of the whole trade changed. And that is when the chart started to capitulate, because when people realized that even the validators, and remember, without the validators, you don't have a network. Even the validators started to get out of the network, right? And they lost about 30% of their validators. They had about 130 validators, And if you look at the network right now, this is a live read on the market. There's, I think, 87. It just refreshes. But the 87 validators, the 87 nodes, which are currently running. And so the network currently is running. A lot of people capitulated. A lot of people actually left. But the team seemed to have put together a proposal. So that the team seemed to have put together a proposal. And in that proposal, that proposal has actually been accepted, right? So the proposal, which passed, the RUNE debt holders will get revenue until they get their money back in perpetuity, or they can just sell their tokens at a haircut. Whilst at the same time, the validators have continued to farm blocks in the network. And so right now, as it stands, the protocol continues, and there is a plan that is finally in place. Now, here's the question. The big question is, can RUNE recover? So I think it can. Do I think it's risky? It is very, very risky. In fact, I'm the first person to admit if I'm wrong. I tweeted this and I said, I told you to buy Sol at 13. I told you to buy Curve at 0.2, and I'm telling you to buy RUNE at 2.3. This morning, I then tweeted and I said, look, unlike some others, I'm going to be man enough to admit that this didn't play out as I expected. The risk return shifted significantly with the inability of the protocol to finalize the quick restructure. I still hold the bag, but I've got way less confidence and conviction since the validators began to exit. The next 24 hours are going to be critical, and it's possible the protocol can recover. I knew of the risks going in because if I'm in crypto, I know about the risks. And this game is all about risk return. Sometimes we get the returns, and sometimes the risks are realized. And so basically, I am still holding a bag. I closed my leverage trades, but I'm holding a big bag of RUNE. And the reason why I'm holding it is because I think that they can maybe recover this protocol. And I think that maybe this is the capitulation event, but I'm not telling you to follow me here. And the reason why I'm not telling you to follow me here is because the risk return of this protocol has now changed a lot, okay? Because there's a lot of FUD now around whether the validators will continue to validate. I think they're going to continue. But that's a massive, massive, massive risk that if you're going to take that risk, you need to take that risk on your own accord, okay? So I think that's what you got to do. I'm not telling you to buy it. In fact, if anything, I'm telling you that the risk return has changed, and that if you don't like taking big risks, then this is not a protocol that you should be playing with, right? But for now, there is stability. There is a bunch of devs who are starting to work on it, and they are building this proposal that's been accepted. It's this proposal over here. I wonder if we can get access to it. So it's this proposal over here. You can go and have a look at it on GitLab. But this proposal has actually been accepted. It was accepted by, I think, 70 or 80% of the validators. It was accepted by a big majority. And so it feels like this protocol is actually going to carry on working. That said, it has become a much, much, much riskier play, but you know really how it works. You take the risk, you get the return, or sometimes the risk gets realized, and then you land up losing a lot of money, right? So that's it. Anyway, that's me for a Sunday night. I'm sorry about the sound issues. We'll try and fix it next time. I'm in Dubai, so it's quite weird. I'm traveling with soundboards, and I wish you guys could see my setup. I'll show it to you on Twitter. I'll see you guys again tomorrow, normal show. I think tomorrow we're going to talk about whether we may have already seen the top of the bull market, or whether this bull market can actually continue. We'll see how the market plays out tomorrow. For now, watch out for the Nasdaq futures. Okay, I think the NQ is the Nasdaq futures. They close now. Let's see how they respond to the tariffs. Let's see how they respond to tariffs. Otherwise, we have Bitcoin trading at under 99,000. You have ETH trading at above 3,000. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.